What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Another episode of the Be Wise podcast. I can't talk. I've been talking all freaking day. Did a TikTok live, did another YouTube video, so forgive me. My speech is garbled. But I had to come back on because Don Lemon has been arrested. I'd be remiss if I don't talk about that today and post this today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm trying to grow this channel. It's a slow process, but with your support, we can get this done. Sometimes conservative talk is suppressed, so we want to make sure that you like and subscribe to my content and help me out. If you're watching this or come on in the live, it will be recorded. You can watch it later, but here we go. So Don Lemon's been arrested. I'm going to give you two media accounts, one from CNN, one from Fox, just to so you can see the difference in how it's reported. CNN is very, compassionate. They consider Don Lemon a friend. So that's going to be more friendly. Then you're going to look at Fox, and then we're going to look at Chris Cuomo, who's at News Nation right now, and he's going to give it to you from his angle. He's an independent media content creator now. But again, Don Lemon has been arrested in Los Angeles, and we'll take a look and see what happened. This was reported at 8 o'clock this morning, and we will look at the Fox News feed first.
Journalist Don Lemon has been arrested in connection with an anti-ICE protest at a church in St. Paul, Minnesota. Bill Melugin joins us now with more on this breaking news. Hey, Bill.
Yeah, Charlie, good morning to you. Our colleague David Spunt and I getting this breaking news from multiple law enforcement sources just minutes ago, confirming that former CNN anchor Don Lemon has been arrested by federal agents in Los Angeles just after midnight this morning at a hotel. This obviously all in connection with that storming of a church in St. Paul, Minnesota by that group of anti-ICE agitators. Now remember, the feds had gone to judges to try to get Don Lemon arrested before. They went to a magistrate judge in Minnesota who didn't sign off on an arrest warrant for him. Then it went to a judge above him. He didn't sign off on an arrest warrant for him. Then it went to an appeals court. They also decided not to sign off for an arrest warrant for him. So there was experts who were predicting that perhaps the feds would go to a grand jury. It remains to be seen if that's what happened here, but we can confirm that Don Lemon was arrested in Los Angeles by federal agents just after midnight Los Angeles time at a hotel. Now, typically, standard procedure with an arrest like this is the defendant will likely make their first court appearance sometime the same day. So there's a chance we may see Don Lemon make his first court appearance in Los Angeles sometime today. But obviously, this is going to grab all sorts of headlines. 3 other protesters from that church storming, have already been arrested, including who the feds say was the organizer of that protest. The woman in the middle there is a school board member in St. Paul, and then the mugshot on the right is an online personality / agitator, if you want to call him that. He's known as the Woke Farmer. Those were the 3 people that the feds had already arrested, but we have confirmed that Don Lemon has now been arrested in Los Angeles in connection with that viral incident. We all saw the video of it that spread and drew widespread condemnation. The feds have been going after these people on FACE Act violations. So this is still breaking news. Once we get more details about the potential charges here, a court appearance, we'll, of course, update our viewers, guys.
Really appreciate it. Of course, if it was a grand jury that did indict him, that's pretty unimpeachable. Bill Melugin, thank you so much.
So indicted, charged on the FACE Act. Full disclosure, don't know what the FACE Act is. I'll have to do some research, as should you. Last week they were talking about the Ku Klux Klan Act. So I don't know if is that 2 different charges? Who knows? But as you know, he was indicted, arrested, as well as other people indicted, arrested that were involved in the storming of the church and the protest. So let me tell you my opinion of this. I am all about the First Amendment. If it wasn't for the First Amendment, I couldn't be here right now talking to you. Freedom of speech, freedom to, express yourself, freedom of expression, freedom to protest, freedom of lobbying. My big problem with him is what was done and how it was done. He's disrupted a church service. I think he violated by going into a church. He's going to tell you that he didn't know they were going to go into a church, that he was just attending the protest. But then when the protesters started to go into the church, he decided to follow them. And a man with any integrity at that point would say, guys, don't go in that church, and I'm not going to follow you in there. I'll be out here, and I will talk to the people as they come out. But he decided to follow suit and go into the church. So that's what I'm against. Point number 2. Excuse me, sorry about that. Point number 2. The arrest. I think that he did this to be a martyr. I think he did this because it will give him more popularity, more support, more people out there defending and supporting Don Lemon, and just it's going to increase his profile. Dr. Martin Luther King was arrested many times, and it only made him more popular as he went along. When you get arrested, it looks like that it's you versus the man, the people versus the government, the people versus the power. When people talk about truth to power, that's standing up in front of them and saying, I don't care, I have rights, I have constitutional rights, and you stand up, and the people love that. I think people who don't even like Don Lemon are going to rally around this. Journalists, news organizations, small-time bloggers, podcasters, everybody is going to rally around Don Lemon, except for those of us who know better. And I think most of us aren't saying that he didn't have the right to do it, but was it the right thing to do? He had the right to do it, but was it the right thing to do? Some people violate human decency by doing things that they have the right to do. So that's what I'm saying about that. I think that this will get him a lot of support and popularity, and I think that's why he did it. I think the first time when the judge declined the arrest of Don Lemon, someone whispered in his ear, I think, my opinion, and said, it would have been great if you were arrested, and what that would do to the Trump administration. With the midterms coming up, every step is very important for the resistance. And this time, I think that, this might be a misstep by the Trump administration and conservatives. That's just in my opinion. Let's take a look at the CNN coverage. I'm definitely going to interject here because where Fox News was just doing reporting, telling you what happened, until the end, I didn't really feel that there was a friendly embracing of Don Lemon. Whereas when you watch the CNN coverage, it's a little bit different. A little bit different.
Former CNN anchor and a former colleague of mine and friend, Don Lemon, has been taken into custody by federal agents, according to his attorney.
See, my friend, your friend, Don Lemon, was arrested. Former colleague, co-worker, our friend, Don Lemon. Shame on CNN for having it to be reported like that. Why? Just say Don Lemon. Once you start about my friend, we already know where your loyalties and your alliances stand. My friend.
It comes after Lemon covered the protest earlier this month, dozens of anti-ICE protesters rushing inside of a church in St. Paul, Minnesota. Now, Don has said that he was just there as a journalist, photographing the incident as a journalist, asking questions as a journalist after the protesters went in, and has been very clear he was not part of the protest group. In a statement, Don Lemon's attorney says, quote, this unprecedented attack on the First Amendment and transparent attempt to distract attention from the many crises facing this administration will not stand. Don will fight these charges vigorously and thoroughly in court. Now, I just want to quickly let you know, Don Lemon spoke with Allison Camerata, another former colleague and friend from CNN, who now works for Scripps News, about the church incident. Let's go to what she told us just moments ago.
So he said that he was covering a protest. This is the St. Paul church. The protesters had reason to believe that the pastor there was an ICE agent. And so the way Don described it to me is that he was doing what we do. He was covering a protest.
But he was covering a protest that he was in full support of. See, here's the difference. Here's what people are missing. It would be one thing if you said, I'm neutral. I'm neutral. I just want to cover the protest. His questions that he posed to the pastor were, I thought, controversial. I think they were leading. He even asked him questions about wouldn't Jesus, how would Jesus feel, or I'm a Christian. So he wasn't there as just a neutral journalism. A journalist would never give you their position on a situation. They would just say, I'm here to report, and I'm going to be fair and balanced. So keep listening to how this is reported by CNN.
He wasn't conspiring with them. He knew that they were going to be protesting something. He wasn't in on their plans, he says, beforehand, which is one of the things that the DOJ has suggested. And then he stayed outside, he says. The protesters went inside the church. And when he realized that the protest was unfolding inside the church, he then went inside.
Okay. That's where he had the opportunity to do the right thing and make a decision. He made the wrong decision, in my opinion. He followed them in there. I don't know why he did that, but he chose to make a decision at that time.
And so, obviously our legal experts can describe whether that's trespassing on private property, but either way, that's a misdemeanor. And, the idea that Don Lemon, as a journalist, has now been arrested is just in an entirely different category.
She just made the point that it's a misdemeanor. So what she's trying to say is that all this is just fluff, doesn't really matter. It's a misdemeanor, no big deal. It is a big deal. You know why it's a big deal? Because this attorney, Abby Lowell, I'm sure she's not cheap. This is a major inconvenience to Don Lemon. I haven't seen his GoFundMe account yet, but she cost a lot of money. So maybe he's spending CNN money from when he left. I'm going to read what I know about Ab Lowell. I don't know anything about her, but Ab David Lowell, and I don't know if it's a he or she. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that. Ab David Lowell is one of the most prominent white-collar defense attorneys in the United States, known for representing high-profile political figures across the entire partisan spectrum. 2025, he founded his own firm, Lowell and Associates, and after leaving Winston and Strawn, his new venture specifically focuses on representing individuals and institutions facing politicized investigations, including high-ranking officials targeted by the current administration. So he's already defended people who were either sued or inconvenienced by Donald Trump. Some notable high-profile clients, Lowell is often described as the go-to lawyer for embattled politicians. His client list is a list of who's who: Hunter Biden, Jared Kushner, and Ivanka Trump, Bob Menendez, Bill Clinton, Letitia James, John Edwards. So he just likes the money. He doesn't have a side. And this is who Don Lemon has secured for his legal defense. But Allison Camerata, who I used to like a lot when she was on CNN, she just pointed out the fact that it is a misdemeanor. But the thing is he's being inconvenienced, and he's spending a lot of money to be inconvenienced. So that could be the goal of the Trump administration. Like, listen, this is all fluff. We're not trying to hold him. But we do want to make his life a little bit tough right now. And we're going to keep at it until he spends a lot of money on legal defense and time out of the camera.
I didn't listen to it through.
Now, I have some more breaking news. We have just learned that another independent journalist who is very popular here and very well known here in Minneapolis and in Minnesota, Georgia Fort, has also been arrested. We have now seen video of her inside of her home telling us that there are FBI agents outside of her door demanding that she come out. She said that they said they had a warrant, that they had gone to a grand jury. So this is brand new breaking news. She is describing what is happening, saying that the federal agents say that they had a warrant, that there was a grand jury involved, and that she must come out to be arrested. She said that she spoke to her attorney. Her attorney advised her to go with them. And that is exactly what she did, and that she was taken to the Whipple building. So now there are two journalists who have been arrested by the FBI, by federal agents, after the incident that happened at a church. Joining me now are CNN's Kara Scannell and our...
All right, so we're not going to watch all that. So Georgia Fort is it's a prominent independent journalist, media producer, and three-time Midwest Emmy Award winner, based out of Minnesota. She's known for reporting on social justice and her efforts to increase representation for communities of color in the media. It says that Georgia Fort has been a central figure in national news regarding press freedom. Arrested today, January 30th, Fort was arrested by federal agents. She documented the arrival of the agents at her home during a live stream on Facebook. So that's Georgia Fort, also arrested today. And because that's kind of both news. So I wanted you to see the CNN news coverage versus the Fox News coverage. And you tell me which one was fair and balanced. And then here's independent journalist Chris Cuomo, who's on News Nation, giving his take on it. And his take is a lot like mine, that, listen, this is all nothing, big nothing burger. It's not going to go very far, but it is going to be, one, an inconvenience to Don Lemon, and two, increase and boost his popularity, and a lot of support are going to get behind him. Is Chris Cuomo.
Don Lemon arrested on federal charges. Not words I wanted to say. Not words I'm surprised to be saying. They went the cheap route fast, signing their own complaint and trying to get a judge who said no. They appealed. They said no. They then went to a grand jury. They got probable cause. Yeah, you can indict a ham sandwich. There's a legal analysis here, there's a journalism analysis here, and there's a personal analysis. Look, I do not want to have to be defending what Don was doing or how he did it.
So Chris is like me. It's indefensible. No one wants to defend the fact that he stormed the church on a Sunday during worship. Indefensible. So I'm glad that Chris said that. And I like Chris. He has some good takes. He's very middle of the road. He's kind of a moderate, and I'm good with that.
But first of all, what the president put out, the White House put out, when life gives you lemons, you just made a lot of lemonade for Don Lemon. You made him a martyr. You increased his following. You made him the face of resistance to you, and you made him a lot of money. Know that. Now, you can think that's good or bad, but that is part of the net effect. Legally, I don't see how they make the case unless you prosecute Don Lemon as a protester or a rioter or as a participant.
And that's not going to fly. He's going to be prosecuted. His fight with that high-ranking attorney, Abe Lowell, is he'll come out of this fairly clean, unscathed, but he'll go and spike the football and say, see, I told you. But we all know we're not stupid. Come on, Don. We already know that this is a big nothing burger. It's just going to be a major inconvenience to your life. That's all.
And he says that he was there doing reporting, and therefore he was not a participant. Now, they're going to argue that. Charging him with the Ku Klux Klan Act, I mean, irony of ironies. A black gay man in the media, you're charging under the Ku Klux Klan Act, looking for 40 years. legally, did that protest, or whatever you want to call it, go too far? Yeah, I think you can say that. Is this charge going to stand? I don't think so. Now, is there more to be said? Yes, and I will. But let's start there.
All right, so I thought that was fair and balanced. I thought that was good on Chris to say, listen, here's what it is. Here's what I like. Here's what I don't like. Now that's journalism to me. I've always liked Chris Cuomo. I think he's a Democrat. I don't know. He could be an independent. But I always have liked his takes. And if you remember, Chris and Don used to have a show together where CNN was like, here's our friend and former colleague, and we love him. And they were setting you up for the okie doke. Don Lemon never mentioned, Don Lemon is my friend, coworker, former colleague, none of that. Just reported what he reported, tell you how he felt about it, and we moved on. All right, we'll keep our eyes on this space. If there's anything that's new, noteworthy or newsworthy and developing, I'll be back and let you know. You guys take care.